This is the Lean Builders Hoots on the Ground podcast with absolutely, positively no bullshito. Join us as we dig into exactly what lean construction is and how we can use these concepts and strategies in the field. This podcast will be different as we journey to job sites and mine the minds of lean builders, all in effort to pass forward building knowledge from those who have put their time in to learn a better way. Because that's just what lean builders do. What's up, y'all? Adam Hoots here, the Lean Builder Hoots on the Ground podcast, coming to you with absolutely, positively no bullshito. Here today to talk a little bit about Keyan's blog from a year or so back. It's called the Firefighter Arsonist, and he made a little bit of a reference to it in the first podcast, and it's been weighing heavy on my mind because I feel like this is a key component to all of the issues that we've talked about, the mental health, the physical stress, the relationship issue, like all of the stuff that we talked about from a negative light in our industry, I think stems a lot from Keyan's comments. And those were, hey, I worked 68, and this is Keyan talking, right? I worked 68 straight days, 12 to 16-hour days, trying to finish a barn burner of the project, and I got it done. Our team came together. We all worked these hours. We all had to manually, physically do some work, and we got it done, and I was rewarded. I got some attaboys. I got some way to goes, and there's just something wrong with that, and we've got to, as leaders in our industry, we've got to fix it. We all know what it's like. We've all been at the job site at 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. trying to provide for our families because that's just what it takes in construction. Well, I'm here to tell you that is not what it takes in construction. It takes respect in construction. It takes planning in construction. It takes making a plan, protecting the plan, and executing. And yeah, you're going to have variation, and yeah, you're going to have fires at some points, but don't be the person that's starting your fires. As an industry, we are rewarding bad behavior. We're rewarding folks that are busy all day. When I talk to a superintendent and they're like, "Oh man, my phone's ringing again. Sorry, I can't talk to you. Give me a quick second." And they take the phone call and it's, "Hey, I need you over here on level 2, building 3, because I don't know what to do with this detail." Well, you have conditioned people to use you as a firefighter. It is not a good thing to receive 200-300 phone calls in a day. It's just not a good thing. It puts extra mental stress on you. But as an industry, we have rewarded that. We've rewarded the folks who are the heroes of the job. And I use heroes like this because there is a little bit of a hero syndrome where I've always got to be the one saving the day. You got to call again. He's got to come in and save the day. Well, that's not it, folks. It might feel good in the moment where people are looking up to you and boosting you up and calling you the hero, but did you start the fire that you put out? And that's what Keyan's getting at in this blog. And I urge us all to go read this blog because we all love to be busy, right? We all love the feeling of getting one thing done after another, after another, after another, and being needed and being valued from those perspectives. But what I'm going to challenge us here in this podcast today is that we've got to set our team up to be the heroes. And I've got a couple really practical, tangible examples, but this is a mind shift. This is a mindset shift from what the typical construction industry values. And when we're doing mindset switches or value switches, these are going to be pretty intense undertakings, but the lean builders out there, I know you're with me. I know we're going to make this happen because that's just what lean builders do. In the blog, Keyan recommends 3 things in order to try and combat some of this firefighting that's going on. He proposes to reward the planning that is going on. We do have some amazing planning going on out there, and we've got to reward that. We also have got to stop celebrating long hours. We've got to start celebrating folks that can go home at 3 o'clock on Thursday, Friday, and they have all their work done, and the weekly work plan is lined out for next week, and they're ready to go. And the other one that he recommends that I think is a huge gap that we have in the current state of the industry is we've got to have processes, and we have got to train our people. Okay? Look, we've established processes because people have done this before and they have learned from it. We need to feed back that learning to people who are just starting the process, right? We've established a process because this is the current best practice. This is the best way that our organization has found that teams and people have a way of doing things. And so why are we going to keep repeating it? We don't want to learn the same lessons more than once. It's stressful. It costs money. It takes time. Time is the only resource that you will never get more of. You cannot make time. Well, some lean builders might argue with me. I might even argue with myself. You can make time. And again, this podcast is going to show you how to create some time. But time is the only resource that you can't get more of. And the crazy thing about it is you don't even know how much of that resource you have. And so making sure that we're productive within the time that we've been given is huge. Not busy, productive. When I say busy, I think firefighter. When I say busy, I think, oh, I've got, all this stuff to do, yet am I really moving the ball? And so I challenge you in your terminology, if you're using busy for those reasons or if you're using productive. Because in our industry, we love to be busy. We love to field those 200 or 300 phone calls. As I was reading this blog again, preparing for this session, as I was listening to Keyan in that first podcast, I had a story that hit home. I had a project manager back when I first started, and God bless him, Chris Woods, you are the man. You are the best project manager I have ever come across. And with Howie Ferguson, our owner's rep there, man, it was such an amazing environment. It was addictive. It was rewarding. I absolutely loved that job. It was a nanoscale research facility for the University of Florida. And it was just, man, we had the best team, great environment, wonderful trade partners, but we worked 12 to 14 hours a day, every single day. And it was wearing, it was taxing. Now, honestly, I'd do it again in a heartbeat because I had real love and care for the people on that job, but it was stressful. And I found myself one day, and this was, I guess we were just coming out of the ground. We had poured foundations, and I actually won a quality control award for this. It was $250. Keep in mind, I was the great ape back then, the great assistant project engineer. So they called me the great ape on site. And I had discovered an entire row of foundations was poured too far to the left. And I did so with just a regular tape measure. Anyway, fast forward about 2-3 weeks, and we're pulling these foundations out. And it's the end of October, and I get the phone call from my wife. Hey, I'm on my way to the hospital. I think the babies are coming. We're about to have twin baby girls, and I was like, no way, not happening. Like, I've got one footing left. I got to get this footing out of the ground. I'll be there. Just call me if you actually go into labor. And so here I am, like, hung up. And we had a couple of previous false alarms before, and so I was kind of in disbelief a little bit. And again, I knew the job had to get done. We had concrete coming in the next day. We were going to pour the foundations back. Obviously, we were behind schedule where we wanted to be. And so I had a quick moment, a quick pause in there. And, my wife called me back and her water had broke and the babies are definitely coming and I need you here now, she says. If any of y'all have heard that, that's like the first sign to firefighting. Boom! I need to go be a firefighter. And yes, I was my own arsonist there for what that's worth. I stopped the job in that moment. After that pause moment, that second phone call, I was still debating, am I going to leave and am I going to go to the hospital or not? Or do I want to get this production done? And I called Chris Woods and kind of gave him a little bit. He's like, man, get out of there. What are you doing? Like, he understood family first. But I was confused in that moment. I was fresh to the industry, new to the industry, and I didn't quite understand exactly what was going on. So I'm very grateful that Chris had the leadership to be able to tell me to get out of there because, quite honestly, had he not done that, I may have missed the birth of my daughters, my two baby girls, JC and Lily. Man, that when I say that, it's tough because I know there's a lot of folks out there that didn't have a Chris Woods in their life that would have said, hey, I need those foundations out because we have concrete coming. And so, how many births have been missed by our people? How many, my goodness, it's just, man, that's hard. It's a real deal. Have you missed a birth? Have you missed a birthday? Because you're out of town, because you're traveling. These jobs don't always pop up in our backyard, especially if you've got a niche, especially if you've got the ability to really bring teams together and to really build things. You're going to be wanted all over the nation and probably the world. And so I encourage you, stop and think for just a second, how many births have you missed? How many birthdays have you missed? How many weddings, anniversaries? The list goes on and on. How many have you missed? If you've answered, if you've said just one, way too many, okay? And that stops today, because no longer are we going to accept an industry that values, 20 hours a day, 200 phone calls in a day, 35 meetings in a day. We don't value that as an industry. Starting here today, we're not rewarding bad behavior anymore. I've got a proposed solution that I would like to bounce off you. And this is a well-known thing in the lean community, and I've taken the liberty to adjust it just a little bit here. This is what's called the Eisenhower Matrix, okay? And I have, again, made some lean builder modifications to it because that's just what lean builders do. And I wanted to make it a little more eye-catching. I wanted it to mean something to the builders out there. And so as you look at this, and many of you may recognize that photo. Yes, that is the photo right from Keyan's blog. On the y-axis, you have importance. The bottom is low importance. The top is of high importance. And on the x-axis, you have urgency. Same concept. To the left is high. To the right is low. As we go through our day, we're going to be challenged with different tasks. Some we may have had scheduled. Some may not have been scheduled. But we've got 4 quadrants here. The top left quadrant, quadrant 1, is important and urgent. It's things that have to get done right now. It's firefighting. It's the reason Keyan wrote this blog. Too many of us builders out there are living in quadrant 1, firefighting daily. What's funny about it is, as Keyan suggests, we might even be lighting the same fires that we're tasking ourselves with putting out. And so I ask you, does that make sense? Is that why we exist as builders? Moving from there, if we move right into quadrant 2, this is my favorite quadrant. And this is where I propose that most lean builders live on a day-to-day basis. These are things that are super, super important, but they might not be so urgent. This is kind of that next week, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, when we start forecasting, looking ahead at, hey, what's going to be important to our job, but it's not urgent right now. This gives us time to do our best work. This gives us time to put in pause and reflect moments, to get outside our comfort zone, to ask questions, to further detail and understand what it is that we're doing. If you're a lean builder, I'm suggesting that you live over here in the quadrant 2, this lean builder quadrant. Yeah, you're going to have some fires. Look, fires are variation. When variation inserts your plan, you better go firefight, because if not, that fire will, like a fire, take over your world and you will not be in that quadrant 2 anymore. But have the wisdom to understand and notice the difference between what is urgent and what is not, what is important and what is not. Continuing around this lean builder Eisenhower matrix, you've got the bottom left quadrant. This is quadrant 3. So these are things that are really, really urgent, but they're not so important. And so this allows us to delegate things. As a leader on the job, I shouldn't be tasked with absolutely everything. Things I'd put in this category look like, meeting minutes, for instance, or reordering the coffee, or answering phones. Again, these are things that have a low importance, but they're super urgent. If they don't happen, the job will come to a grinding halt. But they might not be so important to the overall success of the project. So this is quadrant 3. When you find yourself attacking things in quadrant 3, look around the room and say, is there somebody that I can delegate this to? And we're moving over into the last quadrant. This quadrant is rarely used, I think, rarely even considered, but these are things that, hey, it's not urgent and it's not important. So I asked the question, what the hell are you doing with it? Why are you spending any of your time there? These are things that just don't matter to the overall success of the project, team, people, or organization. This is waste. So if you find yourself doing things in the 4th quadrant, just stop. As you look at this Lean Builder Eisenhower Matrix, where do you spend most of your time? Do you spend most of your time in quadrant 1, as Keyan suggests, fighting fires because that's where you've been trained, because that's what those who have come and gone before you have trained you to do? Or are you spending time in quadrant 2 on those things that are important but maybe not so urgent right now? Doing your best work, allowing other people to be the heroes of the job. I really, really encourage you to take this, print this out. In fact, this is a challenge for Lean Builder Nation. Print this out and for one day, put a Post-it note in each one of these quadrants for everything that you do in that day. Make a Post-it note and put that note in the respective quadrant. Are you firefighting all day? Are you answering 2 million phone calls? People needing you, wanting you, before you know it at 6 o'clock and you still haven't done your daily reports? I've been there. I've done it. Or are you in the Lean Builder where you're time blocking, you're time boxing, right? So I'm blocking out time for leader standard work. I'm boxing my time to make sure that I'm getting done what I can get done in that time, and I'm super focused, laser focused. I urge you, please take the time to consider using the Lean Builder's Eisenhower Matrix. I'm telling you now, this is the answer to mental health issues, to relationship problems, to better quality, to safer projects. If we can really take the chaos out, right? Paul Dunlop out on LinkedIn talks a lot about chaos to calm. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to take and make predictive projects. We want jobs where people just walk on the project site and they know exactly what to do because our visual communication is so strong, because our flow on the projects are strong, and nobody's running around fighting fires. Everybody knows where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing, and when they're supposed to be doing it. And when variation creeps up, there's a process to handle variation. We see as a team, we know as a team, and we act as a team. That's the goal with everything that Lean Builders do. After that day, maybe you do a week of using this Lean Builder's Eisenhower Matrix in order to understand where am I spending my time. Then we'll start talking about some leader standard work. Then we'll dive into some time blocking, some time boxing. I mean, again, as soon as we can see the world through the filter of the Lean Builder Eisenhower Matrix, we are going to instantly become better builders. That's my challenge for you. Pick your quadrant. Which quadrant do you want to live in? Which one sounds more pleasurable to you? Print this. There's your challenge. Print this matrix. Document every single thing you do for at least a day, preferably a week, and just see where the graph, see where it tells you. Are you in quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4? Are you firefighting? Are you a lean builder? Are you delegating? Or are you doing waste? Because productivity is not being busy. Productivity is being productive. Productivity actually moves the ball. That actually gets things done. And as an industry, we really don't understand productivity versus being busy. The other thing I'm going to leave you with, challenge number 2, who's on my hat? Somebody's got to know this. Somebody's got to reach out. Give me some feedback. Tell me who's on my hat. In fact, I've got a Lean Builder book in it for the first person on LinkedIn to come and tell me who is the person on my hat. I'll send you a free Lean Builder book. For recap, look, our industry is very misaligned on busyness and productivity. Our industry rewards bad behavior in multiple areas, but specifically for the individual. We're rewarding folks who don't get their job done in a timely manner, who put in their extra time, which again, work ethic is big and important as long as we're being productive. And so we're not going to celebrate long hours anymore as an industry. We're going to have processes, and we're going to train our people to understand those processes. And we're going to use this Eisenhower Matrix as a filter for everything that we do as builders. Because when we do that, and we get out of firefighting, and we delegate the right items, and we stay out of the waste area, and we focus on that quadrant 2 of items that are important and not urgent, that's what lean builders do. That's what makes a difference for our project teams. That's what's going to change the issues that we're fighting in the construction industry today. I appreciate your time. I look forward to learning more with you, because that's just what lean builders do.